I do like a self-serve display. We got snacks! Yeah. I'm E12 and our table does not exist yet. I have my piranha plant headband. They're so precious! It is currently 5:08 and as you can see, our tables aren't even existing yet because all of this, so that's Artist Alley and that is Artist Alley. Over there is the rest of Exhibitor Hall, but I'm E12 and our table does not exist yet, so we are just waiting. I hope that they build it soon, but I don't think it's gonna happen within this hour. So we just got here. It is 7:50 and they finally have the table set up. As you can see, this is, I don't know what row this is. I'm assuming this is D, but they just started setting them up. Hello, we are currently here at GalaxyCon San Jose. It is my first time at this event. It is day one. We did set up yesterday, but it was a whole ordeal. TLDR, if you saw the clips, our tables were not here yet. Like, they basically had Artist Alley tables from A to D, and then I think from J or so and onwards, they had the tables, but the center rows or columns, whatever, those tables were not available yet because there's a lot of stories going around. But for myself, I just know that they did want to have space for the union to be able to move some of the boxes from loading dock over to the exhibitor side. And apparently we were out of tables. There was an issue with one of the union trucks that had the tables, so they couldn't put the tables in time, even though we were here around 4 or 5 o'clock. But regardless, tables were back by the time we had to come back, and we were able to set up for the first few hours before con ended. Con did start. It is currently 2:20, so con started at 2 p.m. today. Honestly, was not expecting much, at least for the first few hours, just because people are at work. Most people are probably at the meet and greets or with the voice actors, and I don't expect them to want to shop the first few hours. We are here until 8 p.m., so it is a bit long, but not too crazy. Also, this is the first time that I will have a self-serve display. Why did I do that? If you're not familiar with the difference between the most common types of displays that you see in Artist Alley, there is a self-serve display and there's also a menu style display. What I usually have is a menu style, where you see with a menu style display, usually you just have a display item that is not for sale usually, and you just let the person at the register know what you want to buy. In that case, it's like, oh, I want the Luffy pin. I will get the Luffy pin for you, and then you pay for it. Versus a self-serve display, which is the most common one for a lot of retail spaces. The customer gets it for themselves, they give it to you, and then you process the transaction. Also, I heard last year they were giving out free taiyaki for the vendors. Is that the reason why I came here? Maybe. Just kidding, it's not. But I did get taiyaki. Very exciting. Free taiyaki! Oh, there's two. What was one of them? Oreo and Nutella. I love that. So what are the pros and cons of a self-serve display? Pros for self-serve: faster transactions. If you have a crowd or a line at your booth, people are not waiting around all the time because someone is telling you what they want. Instead, they just grab what they want, give it to you, process a transaction, you're done. Second pro, people know exactly what they're buying. If there are any issues whatsoever with the quality of said pin or sticker, they know right away. So they are saying like, I want this pin, they give it to you, process a transaction, they receive it, they know what they're getting. They can also feel the product. In the case of a lot of artists who have prints, if you print your design on a really nice cardstock paper, customers can instantly see the type of quality in the paper that they're purchasing, and most likely they might be convinced to want to buy said thing. Also, another thing is that the front-facing worker does not need to know the fandoms that you are involved in. I know when I first started, when I did have my One Piece items, for example, my friends or whoever was helping me does not need to know who Luffy is. They don't need to know who Zoro is, Hancock, Shirahoshi, and so on. They just give it to you. All they have to do is just punch in some numbers on the Square terminal and they are done. I will say though, there are some cons with a self-serve display. First of all, theft is more likely to occur. Not necessarily impossible for a menu style, but with self-serve, it might happen a bit more in frequency. Just because people have the product there, it's easy to just swipe it and then walk away, versus having a menu style. The pin might be more secured on your display versus a pin that is just hanging on a hook. Two, it does take more time to set up and take down. One of my helpers did mention this when we did have a self-serve sticker display, rather than having everything in one bin like we usually do for a menu style. In my case with self-serve, you would have to put together the acrylic stand, put in the dividers, put in the stickers, but then once the event ends, you put everything away again, rather than just having all the stickers in one place. So it does take some time in the beginning and the end. However, you can assume that it saves you time during the transactions and during con weekend. Similar to that, I will also say that it is a bit more prep beforehand, at least in the case of enamel pins. In my case, because I usually have my enamel pins on a backing card when I have a menu style, and that's it. In the case of a self-serve display, I have to put it in a baggie and then put a hang tag on it, which I don't usually have to do with a menu style. So that does take some time out of my days prior to con. And if I were to have more weekends where I have a lot of self-serve items, that is a lot of time being taken out of my weeks rather than working on other things that could benefit the business. So those are some things to consider if you are on the fence about whether you want to do self-serve or not. It's only recently that I felt comfortable introducing that with my display. Hello, it's now 4:26. Not necessarily halfway towards the end of the con, but at least less than 4 hours till con ends. So the hours for this type of convention remind me of a lot of comic conventions where Friday usually starts later, ends later, and then Saturday, Sunday are longer days. So the information is on the back of the badge. Floor hours are Friday 2 to 8 p.m., 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday, and then 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday, which I'm glad that Sunday ends earlier because ending at 8 p.m. is a little too much for me. Since it's been a few hours since con started, at least for myself as someone who does have mostly anime enamel pins and vinyl stickers as well as some Ita bags, if you've seen my display, this is not the fleshed out version of how my display usually looks. I usually have a lot more things. However, I noticed, at least within the first few hours of this type of convention, or this convention itself, they do seem to prefer more print items, more keychains, at least that's what I've heard. I have noticed that having a self-serve display has helped with speeding transactions to the point where it literally just takes a minute, less than a minute, versus maybe taking a couple of minutes just because I have to look for a lot of things. Also, if you didn't notice, I have my Piranha Plant headband. Super cute. Got this from Universal Japan. Are we surprised? No. Usually I would wear my branded headband. However, I am not selling that headband at this event, and I figured, well, this is not an anime driven convention. I might as well wear my Super Nintendo merch. Like I said previously, I didn't really have a lot of expectations for this event. It isn't very healthy to have expectations, or at least high expectations. I would assume that for a lot of vendors, the main expectation is just to cover profit. In this case, I'm just here to try out the event and have another opportunity to get more Zumi matcha. Yay! And curry. Delicious! If you're also not familiar with this con center, it is the same con center as Fanime, and it is the San Jose McHenry Convention Center. I've never vended in their main hall before because Artisali is in a different hall. However, I have vended in the neighboring South Hall, which is that large tent, semi-tent, not really tent, but it's still technically a permanent building, and it's the blue and white building that's outside of the convention center, and that's where a lot of the SJ made events are held. So I'm basically just hitting the trifecta of convention center locations at this point. My current comfort snack right now is Hershey's Cookies and Cream because it is so good. I think of all the chocolates, this one and Crunch Bars are my favorite. It's $5.50 and I have been semi-productive in filming a second video from this con. I have resorted to comfort foods, one of them being chocolate. Yeah, now that there's only a couple hours until con ends, it is slow. I'm just not feeling it. I think I've taken a lot of L's. I don't know. I mean, there's still a couple days, so I'm not gonna think too much of it, but it's okay. Hey chat, it is almost 8 o'clock. What does that mean? We're almost out of here and I'm ready to get dinner. Interestingly enough, now that it is 20 or so minutes until con ends, while today was relatively slow than what I'm used to for a lot of other conventions, granted, it has been a while since I have done a more general comic convention type of event versus an anime con. While it is a bit slower today, surprisingly, it feels like a bulk of my sales were actually the last few hours of con. I'm not sure if it's because panels are done and they're shopping now, or maybe a lot of people thought about what they wanted to purchase, which is also a factor for a lot of cons where people like to walk around first before they buy something. And interestingly enough, most of the 3 for $40 deals on pins or the 3 for $12 deals on the stickers did happen the past couple hours. I will say in terms of numbers, we did about the same as my Friday for 626 Night Market OC, which to me wasn't very good numbers. But of course, if you have more comic-related art or more Western art, perhaps you'll do better at this con. We'll see how tomorrow goes. I reckon it will just be a little bit better than today, at least for myself. But I am very excited to get dinner. We're getting Thai food. Thai food. Good morning. It is day 2 of GalaxyCon SJ. We have goodies. Thank you for stopping by. This one and then goodies. Do a quick unboxing. I think there's like 5 minutes till con opens. So sweet. Everyone's really nice at this con. Oh, sticker sheets. Oh, these are so cute. What? Oh, Howl's Moving Castle sticker sheets. I do like Garfield. Thank you for stopping by. This is the first time I've actually seen a wooden pin. It's actually quite nice. Unboxing number 2. The Artist. Oh, this is a really beautiful pin. Look at the detail in that. I love a good glitter pin. This is actually kind of accurate. Failed plant parent. I have my Monstera plants. They're thriving, but only because I stuck them in one pot and they're not allowed to grow, unfortunately. RIP. Oh my gosh, thank you. Oh, I love this. I have some at home, actually. Have you gotten your free taiyaki? Apparently there's free taiyaki at the booth
show them
as a vendor. No. Yeah, you just show them the badge and you get free taiyaki. Yes, good luck. Thank you. We got snacks. Yay. Now that it's day 2, looking at yesterday's numbers, not super great numbers, but we did make table and a good amount of other expenses, which I can't complain about. Also, my headband for today is the Yoshis, but also got them from Universal Japan this past spring. One thing that I did notice with the self-serve display, which I do like, is that it does speed up transactions. Even for the customers, I know I did mention that it is beneficial for whoever is helping me. They don't need to know particular fandom names. But even for the customer, let's say they are buying for another person, they're buying for a family member, a friend, and they want to buy a specific character, they don't need to know the name. If they know what Espeon looks like, but they don't know Espeon's name, they can just give me the Espeon pin, and it's all good. I know the other alternative when I do have a menu style display is to have a catalog, so then customers don't need to know character names. Same thing for my helper. They don't need to know fandom names. But it is an extra minute or so for them to look for said character on the catalog. So this just speeds up transactions overall without needing to know specific names. Also, apparently with the taiyaki booth, you do get free taiyaki if you are a vendor, which is very exciting. So Henry did go get taiyaki. He got taiyaki. What taiyaki did you get?
I got the pepper jack cheese, the Nutella, and the, oh wait, I lied. Not the Nutella, the Oreo.
Taiyaki! I think con just started. I already see like people going in. As you can see, there's a few people, but some people aren't quite here yet, but it's okay. Cheese and pepperoni. This is like taiyaki hot pocket. So con did start about 20 minutes ago. It was 10:23, and so far it's not a bad start. I would say there's been a few number of sales, fortunately, with a few vendors, which thank you for stopping by, and like a couple of people, attendees. So there's a good amount of people walking around actually. I realized that some vendors actually didn't recognize me until I had my mask on, which I think is funny and also valid because I don't really vlog unless I have my mask on. I was told there would be cats and I'm trying to look for them. I will say, I feel like this con is pretty family friendly in the way that there's a lot of opportunities for kids to just hang out, and there's even a space so they don't feel overstimulated. The cats. The cats. They're so precious. Oh my gosh. Hello. These 4 pins for you?
Yes.
All right. And will that be cash, card, or Venmo?
Card.
Card. All right, so for the Luffy pin and the 3 for $40 deal with tax, this is your total. You can tap whenever you're ready. All right, and then with your purchase, you do get a free tote bag, and you're all set. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one. I will say there has been a lot more traffic, greatly drastic compared to yesterday. I know yesterday there was a good crowd, but I don't think a lot of them were perusing Artist Alley. But now there's been quite a lot of people. Like there's at least someone walking around in front of my booth. So looks good for today at least. It's Mazzy! Yay! Oh, hello. 508. It's been a long time since I last updated, but it got cold. As you can see, I'm now wearing my jacket. I think it's relatively normal in terms of climate, especially if you're just walking around. But where I am, I feel like there's some type of vent where the air conditioning is blasting. Not mad about it because I would much rather be freezing than warm. However, looking at today's numbers, I will say that today is lower than my preferred minimum for most events. Still not bad numbers. Expenses are paid at this point. Can't complain about that. Interestingly enough, I feel like most of the sales did happen earlier in the day. And now that it's 5 or so, it's dinner time. Most people have already done what they wanted to do at this event. And I think some of the voice actors are heading home, or most people are just heading out to get dinner. Also, another observation that I forgot to mention for yesterday, since there was a big rush of sales towards the last couple hours of day one, we do believe that it's because a lot of people just got off of work, they have time, and so they decided to come by for GalCon. I want to wait until tomorrow to debate on whether I would consider vending here again, because for GalaxyCon events, as of now, Artist Alley vendors are able to rebook for the following year if you have vended at the current one. I don't quite remember what the deadline is to consider rebooking. I'm sure it's like within a few days to a week after the event, and once you pass that, you would have to reapply like everyone else. So I'm still thinking about it, but I don't want to make any decisions before seeing how it all goes. Thank you for stopping by! Hello, it is day 3 of GalaxyCon San Jose, and let's talk about it. This event cost me $500, and I have an Artist Alley table. It comes with a 6-foot table, 2 chairs, 2 badges, and apparently it does come in with union bringing things in to the con versus a lot of other conventions. They do charge for that. This con is in San Jose, California at the San Jose McHenry Convention Center, which is the same convention center as Fanime. Look at these new goodies from Phoenix Ware Ceramics. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. So it's much later in the day. It is 3:07. Now that I've had pretty much 3 days at this point. Granted, there's still 3 more hours until this event ends, but basically 3 days of having a self-serve display. I really like it. I do like a self-serve display. I don't think I would ever move into fully self-serve unless I have a 10 by 10 booth, maybe an 8-foot display, but I just personally like having a lot of space to put things, because if you've seen my full-on display, you know how much product I have. I have so many designs, and I would much rather have the opportunity to showcase every single design. And with a self-serve display, because it does take up a lot of space with each pin being on a backing card, I don't even have all of my pins, yet it fills up a good amount of each of my grid cubes. And I can't do that with a menu style. With a menu style, I am able to fit as much designs as I can. Granted, I will say, like, it is super nice being able to not have to think in between transactions. People just give me things and I will process the transaction super smooth. But of course, there are trade-offs with both types. Also, if you didn't know already, I am on Twitch. I do stream usually Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or maybe Thursdays, and it's with collabs with other Artist Alley friends working on new stamp rally designs or product, as well as convention pin prep. If you're interested, I do have my link down below, and feel free to follow me on there. If you are just starting out with an Artist Alley and you have a pretty high risk tolerance in terms of theft, perhaps a self-serve is for you, because then you're able to fill up a good amount of space if you don't have a lot of product. And while this weekend was mostly a trial run for having a primarily self-serve display, I would probably introduce this more so for times when I will have a proxy and it is just easier to have them set up a self-serve display while I have my menu style display. If you didn't know already, I am also on Patreon. If you're interested in more Artist Alley advice, reviews of my previous conventions that I don't typically share on social media or YouTube, just some behind the scenes things, as well as previews of my upcoming products, I do post them on Patreon. So if you want to support this channel, consider subscribing on Patreon. So now that you know my experience at GalaxyCon San Jose, if you're curious on how stamp rallies occur in conventions, how to participate in one, how to organize one, and everything in between, consider watching my video at Anime Riverside, where I talk about everything stamp rally. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!